coming to you live from Tennessee, from the east to the west. We are talking Cowboys everything. And you've just entered
the Cowboy Zone.
Welcome back to another episode of the Cowboy Zone. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, the Bluff City Cowboy, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee.
And this is Lambo from Cowboys, y'all, out of Johnson City, Tennessee.
So, Lambo, we don't have the victory Wednesday like we expected. Tough matchup. Lost the game, lost a lot of players. Not really like to get optimistic about.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Nothing to look forward to. Well, I wouldn't say nothing.
There were a few positives to take from the game.
Yeah, there's positives. And if we can hold on, and we've seen the NFC East just be years where nobody wants it, right? Like just, this neck and neck when someone should be pulling out. If we have one of those situations, we can hold on long enough until Dak's back, make a push late half of the season, and still turn things around. Once we get Gallup back and all that as well.
Yeah, just gotta ride the wave. Hope we can steal a couple between now and whenever Dak comes back. I see we got a few viewers watching, so get in the comments. Let us know that you're there. If you haven't done so already, make sure you like this broadcast. Also, make sure you share it. Share it to your personal page. Share it to your favorite Facebook group. And if you're joining us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I am Bluff City Cowboys, and Lambo is Cowboys, y'all, on YouTube. And if you're watching from one person's YouTube, be sure to go to the other person's YouTube and hit subscribe. All right, Lambo, I see the views are starting to pick up, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we'll start off before we go into the game recap. Let's start off with some of these storylines because we got quite a few things to discuss.
Storylines.
All right, so the theme for this week is injuries. So I should have probably put the injury report graphic up there. So first of all, coming out of this game, we lost the quarterback of our defense, J-Ron Curse, with a sprained MCL. That sounds like there's going to be a 2 to 3 week injury. We also lost our starting left guard, Connor McGovern, with a high ankle sprain. For an offensive lineman, that's not a 6-week injury. It's more like a 2-week injury. So he should be ready to go by week 3 at the earliest, maybe week 4. And then the big news of the day, Dak Prescott is out with a broken thumb. That's the one that's going to hurt us moving forward. There is a bit of a silver lining in this because people are reporting that the injury could be 6 to 8 weeks, but based off history with quarterbacks who've sustained similar injuries, typically they come back in about 4 weeks. So I know a lot of the national media was giving Jerry a hard time, saying that Dak could be ready in a month, but history has shown us that this can be a 4-month injury. A 4-week injury for a quarterback on his throwing hand. So let's go to our next slide, and this one just kind of talks about some of the past quarterback injuries on their throwing hands. So I did a little bit of research just looking up quarterbacks who've had a broken thumb on their throwing hand. And the first one that came up was Drew Brees. I think this happened in 2020 or 2019, and he was out for 5 weeks. So the report said he could have been back in 3 weeks. But if you guys remember, Teddy Bridgewater was the backup quarterback, and he was on fire. And he actually went 5-0 during all 5 weeks that Drew Brees was out. So because Teddy Bridgewater was kind of holding down the fort, the team decided to let Drew Brees slow play it and stay out for the maximum amount of time, which is roughly about 5 weeks. Then you look ahead. Jimmy Garoppolo also broke his thumb on his throwing hand, and actually, this was during the off season, so he had his surgery. He was out 4 to 6 weeks. Once again, it was the off season. There were no games to be played, so they kind of took it to the end of that rehab. And then you look at these other two guys at the bottom. Jared Goff, at the time playing for the Los Angeles Rams, he broke his thumb. He actually played 2 weeks with a broken thumb. Then he decided to have the surgery, and then he came back 12 days later after surgery and played. And last but not least, Big Ben Roethlisberger, who's just a big freak athlete, just completely inhuman sometimes. He broke his thumb in his throwing hand, and he missed 0 games. Of course, if you remember, his play suffered tremendously, but he put that glove on, and he went out there and he got it done. So a little bit of a silver lining with this is going to probably be closer to 4 weeks than the 8 weeks that a lot of people are trying to project. Lambo, first of all, what do you think about just the injury and Dak's ability to come back from it?
I think he'll come back from it just fine. Like you said, that's a lot of reason to be optimistic with, stating those previous injuries with other quarterbacks. Really, I don't feel like Dak's in a position to have to just air it. I mean, we really ain't get the receiver core right now to air it out like crazy anyway. But
yeah,
I mean, I think he can just come back in with the way the defense is playing, a solid defense, the way Zeke's running, a solid run game, and he can just be that Jimmy G type. Like, let's manage the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would expect him to do, especially coming in. I'd say they'd try to limit him to 22 attempts in the game max.
Mm-hmm.
Come out there with the 17 for 22, a lot of underneath stuff. Just manage the game, let the defense do what they do, and feed Zeke, but actually feed him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be just fine. And like we've talked about before, the NFC East is usually pretty known for letting everybody stick around. So I think we'll be all right.
Yep, all these teams are happy right now because they won their first games. But we've seen this story play out year after year. Nobody expects the Giants to win more than 4 games. Washington football team fans are optimistic, but we know that can crash and burn at any moment, especially with Carson Wentz at quarterback. And then the Eagles, who people kind of have as the class of the league of the division right now. I mean, you never know. They could crash down to earth as well. Nothing's actually guaranteed. We could all be around that 8 or 9 game window when it's all said and done at the end of the year. And you bring up a great point about not throwing the ball more than 20 or so times a game.
Yeah.
We're going to get about 4 weeks of practice with that because it sounds like Cooper Rush is going to be our starting quarterback for the next month or the next foreseeable future. And we know he doesn't have the strongest arm. He knows the playbook, which is the reason why he's going to start for at least 1 week or 2 weeks. He knows the playbook. They're going to give him simple throws. They're going to try to manage the game as much as possible. Lambo, what do you think about Cooper Rush, and how do you think he may perform in this next month?
I think he's gonna do enough. I mean, I'm not exactly excited about it, but I mean, he came in the game and just off what I've seen, I mean, he wasn't excellent, but he came in there. He seemed like he didn't have the jitters at all. He seemed like he had good command. He seemed like he knew what he was doing.
Yep.
He was pretty quick with his reads.
Yep.
It seemed like he was fairly quick with his reads, which I liked. He missed CD on that overthrow on the sideline that could have been a huge play, but I think his accuracy will be okay for the most part. I think his reads will be quick enough, and I don't know. I hate saying this, but I mean, at worst, I don't think we're gonna see a fall off from what Dak did the first 75% of that game.
Don't start that bandwagon, Lambo.
Oh no,
how our fan base will get.
I know. Now I'm not saying that that's a consistent thing because Dak has never consistently done that. If he has a bad game, he won't have another one for quite some time. But I'm just saying that I don't think we can go down from what we've seen there. So I think Rush can do enough to get it done and, just keep us relevant in the NFC East. I don't think he's going to go out there and necessarily blow things up. I don't think we're going to go in some winning
you don't
winning
think
streak.
He's going to be Teddy Bridgewater, right?
Yeah, we're not going to go the next 4 or 5 games straight winning, but I could see us splitting them and doing enough.
So our next 4 games are Cincinnati, Washington, the Giants, and who's the 4th one? I always forget the 4th one.
I had the schedule right here. It is.
And thank you, Mendoza and William Coulter, for joining us. Appreciate you guys and your support.
Cincy, Giants, Washington, and the Rams. So
Rams, okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing 2-2 on that stretch.
There's a chance. There's a chance for 2-2.
And hopefully that can get back by Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that Philly game is gonna be interesting though. I think we could pull it off.
At Philly too.
Yeah.
But the good news is I'd rather play at Philly early in the season instead of playing at Philly in the cold late in the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. I think that'll be the one that kind of tells the story of where we are as a team. And I mean, people forget our defense is pretty good. So it's not like these teams are just going to run away with it unless Cooper Rush gets the turnover bug. Because we held a very good Tampa Bay team down to 19 points, 4 field goals in a game where they could have ran away with it if our defense didn't step up. All right, Lambo. So let's move ahead and let's go ahead and talk about let's talk about a game recap from last week's game. I know we don't want to talk about it, but something we got to do. When you got a podcast, you got to hit the topics you don't like.
Game recap.
All right. So once again, guys, thank you for joining us. For those of you that are watching, make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you get in the comments so that we know that you're there. And also, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I am Bluff City Cowboys on YouTube, and Lambo is Cowboys Y'all on YouTube. So, game recap, Lambo. I got quite a few notes. I don't know if you want me to just hit on what I got and you tell me what you think. All right. So I don't have a pretty graphic for it. I just kind of watched the all 22 today and just kind of wrote down some notes from what I saw. Yeah, a great point, William. Tampa was on the field for a long time. And typically in a game like that, your defense gets worn out. And at some point, you just expect the floodgates to open. But they held their own. They only gave up 1 touchdown, despite being on the field for 2/3 of the time. I could sum it up with that, William, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit more detailed notes about what I saw. So I started off with offense, and this was pre-Dak injury and post-Dak injury. The route concepts were terrible. There were way too many times where you had the slot and the flanker on the same side, and they ran the same route. It was too many times where they both run a 5-yard comeback, or they both run a 5-yard post, or the receivers on both sides with the slot and the tight end will both run a 5-yard end route and curl, and they literally be right beside each other. And that helped the defense out. Like, you're allowing them to have multiple people in one spot in what they mostly played was zone coverage. And just terrible.
I can't remember who it was, but somebody on Tampa Bay's defense said they just flat out knew our playbook. They knew what we were doing. They knew the offensive game plan. Like they said, it was extremely simple. Just they knew it.
Yeah. And that's not good. Let me pull up something real quick. I'm trying to pull up how many times the ball was thrown week 1.
I know one thing. It was thrown to CeeDee Lamb 11 times, and he only got 2 catches. That's not. He played 97% of our snaps. He got 2 catches for 29 yards. That makes me sick.
Yeah. That's preseason. I'm trying to find week 1. But I counted 12 routes that were ran where both receivers basically ran the same route on the same side. That's unacceptable. Yeah, it was Devin White that said that. Thank you, guys. And Yuri Meza, thank you for joining. Appreciate you tuning in. Keep bringing those great comments. We love to hear your thoughts on this game. Going back to the offense, so that was a negative thing. I got to talk about another negative, and that was Tony Pollard. I know we love Tony Pollard here.
Yeah, he didn't.
But he should not have been in so much on third down blocking.
No, he was getting destroyed.
Yeah, it's almost like as soon as they saw Tony Pollard was blocking, Devin White came in the A-gap and blew him up. That was every time.
Yeah.
So we asked for more Tony Pollard. They gave it to us, but not at the time we wanted. Now, going back to the offense, talking about the running game. The running game actually looked really good. Matt Farniok came in the game kind of cold. He had some missed blocking assignments in pass pro, but in run pro, he was pretty solid. The Tyler Biotish had a great game, and a lot of people aren't talking about that. He was really helping to move the defensive lineman, and Tyler Smith just completely exceeded expectations for his first game at left tackle.
Yeah, I can't complain about that.
I mean, I hate the one time he pancaked the guy was the one that got Connor McGovern hurt. Well, he had 3 pancakes that game that I counted. But that was one of them. That was the one that got McGovern hurt. I mean, he was perfect in his technique and sealing off the edge. For the most part, he was able to not miss any stunts between the tackles and the ends. He never let excuse me. He never let the defensive end take the corner from him. First game at left tackle, I mean, he did have the borderline blown assignment. I still don't know if that was his fault or not from looking at the all 22. But let's say it's his fault. He had 1 sack he gave up right there. But it wasn't off getting beat. It was just off a missed assignment.
Yeah, which he's gonna learn.
Yeah. And I counted 2 holding calls that they missed on him. So hopefully they continue to miss those, because normally in years past they call all those. And another positive, talking about Noah Brown, had a better game than I expected.
Yeah.
I think he had 6 catches for 60-some yards.
He played 88% of the snaps. He had 9 targets that went for 5 catches, 68 yards.
5 catches for 68 yards. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, he had a solid game.
Yep.
I wish they would have gave Semi more opportunities. I mean, fans will beat up on Dennis Houston. Dennis Houston got open a couple times. Dak just couldn't hit him.
It kind of, to be honest, I've seen so many comments about how, like, and I'm a huge Dak fan. I love Dak, but I followed him since Mississippi State. I wanted us to draft him before we drafted him. But he flat out just had a really bad game. And the receivers are catching a ton of the blame. But I've seen a lot of receivers getting open. I really did. Including Houston.
Yep.
And now I started to see CD taking snaps off at times, like out of frustration, and that was pissing me off too. But it's kind of like he just got to that point where, like, okay, the ball ain't gonna get to me. Right. Even if it does, it's not getting to me. Like if the ball won't going his way, you see him jog off the line just immediately, just done. Yeah. It kind of pissed me off when I seen that. I was like, come on, CD, you can't be doing that. But
I wish we would have saw more of 2020 Dak where he go to the line, because we were actually using motion in this game, which was a surprise to me. Yeah. So they knew whether they were in zone or man. We just weren't making the adjustments. to change route concepts when we saw what they were in.
Yeah.
So that was a little disappointing. And then William Coulter talks about Terrence Steele definitely had a bad game.
Yeah, terrible.
And it's only going to get worse because the defensive end they play this week is even better than he saw last week. And Mendoza says it was like Dak wasn't trusting himself. And honestly, not something I've seen before. Yeah, that's a good take, Mendoza.
He looked shook. I don't know what was going on.
So hopefully when we get Gallup back, that'll help kind of change things around with Dak when he comes back. Give him a little bit more of a security blanket where if all else fails, just throw that back shoulder fade. William asked a question about the 2 trick plays. Both were awful. They had no place in the game, especially
too soon, too.
Yeah, not that early in the game when it's basically 3-3, and we're doing a double reverse like we just have to we have to score something.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'll go to the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I could pretty much just sum it up. Everybody played great except the linebackers. LVE looked terrible.
Cox
was a healthy scratch.
He needed to be in over LVE.
Yes. LVE was getting ragged out by linemen. And he was getting blown up by the fullback. I mean, completely blown up. And then the tight ends were just handling him one-on-one. It was awful.
Yeah, they were. Like I remember I sent you a message during one of those. I was just like, LVE just got destroyed by that rookie tight end.
Exactly.
Destroyed. And he just waits on him. He just waits on him to clean him up.
Yep,
like,
exactly.
Here they come. Let me watch them full speed.
Yeah. Now, I'll give Anthony Barr a little bit of a pass because it was his first game.
Yeah.
But he wasn't any better. They were setting him up to have to take on a lot of offensive linemen coming around. But you got to do a better job of setting the edge. Him and Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah.
They were just picking on those 2 guys.
I love Diggs, but unfortunately, anytime we run to his side, he is trying to find a way to get away from the ball carrier.
Exactly.
You can see it. He will purposely turn the wrong direction. Like he just does not want contact.
Yep.
That's the only thing I can't stand about Diggs. He does not want to hit anyone.
Yep.
He's great in coverage, but man, he does not want to he don't want to tackle nobody. Yep,
that's actually one of my notes too. Diggs wants no part of run defense.
You can see it. He purposely shies away. It's like he gives just a teeny bit of effort and tries, but you can tell he's just staying away.
Yep. So Mendoza says Cleef. I'm assuming you're talking about the fullback. But yeah, if you're talking about the fullback, he was just keying off on LV in the hole. It was bad. I do not need to see Cox as a healthy scratch anymore. I mean, no. we gotta find a way. I mean, even if we gotta go one less defensive end, we cannot go into a game where LVE is the middle linebacker for 90% of the snaps. That's just unacceptable. Yeah, they basically just ran right at him wherever he was. And then one time he had the Jalen Smith moment where he was in the right hole, then he left the hole. He ran it right there, and it was like a 25-yard run. It was not pretty. So I got to talk about this positive though. Our defensive tackles, they were bringing it, and we were both kind of hard on Bohanna last year. Bohanna learned how to use his hands, and he learned how to stay stout in the hole. He was really helping take on those double teams and clog up a lane, which is something he did not do last year. To be honest, Osa probably was our worst defensive tackle on Sunday, and Osa had a good game. That's just how good our defensive tackles played, where Osa was probably the worst of the four. Tristan Hill playing with a lot of energy, and I feel like I'm missing somebody. They did a lot. They did a heavy rotation of Gallimore. Gallimore just did what he did. Just completely taking a guy one-on-one and washing him out. So yeah, I got a lot of optimism with this defense. Even though Curse is out, and Curse probably before he got hurt had double-digit tackles. So somebody has to step up and take on that role. But outside of that, I'm feeling really good about this defense. And we ain't even got to talk about Michael Parsons. Like, ridiculous.
Yeah. 2 sacks to start the season.
Right.
On Brady, of all people.
And one of them was against Worths.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, to in my opinion, to get a sack against the best right tackle in football on the quarterback who gets rid of the ball faster than anybody, that's just amazing.
I hate that Diggs is going to have the stat of giving up a touchdown because it was a clear push off, man,
Yep.
a full extension. Of course, you can't see it from the regular angle, but when they show the back angle, there's a lot of separation from that push off.
Definitely.
That sucks, but it is what it is. He was real good in coverage. Anthony Brown was good in coverage too.
He was good in coverage.
Even that catch that Julio had, I mean, it was the perfect ball right where it needed to be. He was in great position on that. He really was. It's perfect ball.
So yeah, we played a lot of 3 safety sets. I think Mendoza made the comment earlier about we need to see Bale in the game. So let me know in the comments, guys. Curse is going to be out. Who do you think they're going to use to fill that role? Are they going to let Wilson play that spot, or are they going to activate Bale or Mook to play that spot?
I think they're going to have Wilson and Hooker out there.
Well, in last week's game, they ran 40% 3 safety sets.
So it's probably going to be a lot of the same.
Because Wilson was playing deep strong, and Hooker was playing Wilson was playing intermediate strong. Curse was right at the line.
Do you think that changes? Do you think that changes with Curse out? Or do you think they would continue that?
I mean, that's a good point. I guess
it might change the whole scheme up.
But if they change it, are you saying they're going to bring a linebacker in instead of Curse?
That's not a good idea.
Because I think I'd rather have Bale out there than
I would too. Yeah,
Barr and LVE.
That'd be interesting to see.
Well, we'll find out on Sunday.
So if you got to activate Mook or Bell,
I almost think you have to activate both. Of them.
You play it safe.
You have to find
if you're gonna have 3 on the field, you kind of need to.
Yeah.
Because one goes down, and now you're treading thin.
Exactly. Because we don't have a corner who can fill that spot. So you have to go 3 safety. So I guess the question then becomes, I mean, we had to have a healthy scratch on a couple of guys. So who's the guy that's getting replaced? I mean, I know Dak's going to be inactive this week, so that brings another guy. Well, I take that back. We got 3 guys inactive with McGovern, Dak, and Curse. So that brings 3 guys who were inactive last week able to play this week. So we should be able to bring both safeties and the linebacker Cox to the active roster this week just because of the injuries we sustained. All right, Lambo. I guess one last thing I want to talk about. I saw the defense that I've been kind of hinting about all offseason, where they play that kind of amoeba NASCAR, where you just got a bunch of guys just standing up at the line. You don't know who's coming from where. They did that quite a few times with Michael Parsons, Basham, Sam Williams, D-Law, and Fowler, and they were just coming. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out. Good question, William. Does Peters come back this week? Lambo, what do you think? That's a tough one.
That one is tough, and I knew we was going to touch on that at some point because what makes it tough is the fact that your first-round pick, who's young, came in and actually did very well against a 2-time Pro Bowler in his first NFL game action, And when you see that, I mean, why would you bump him back to guard?
Yeah.
That's your long-term future right there. I mean, so it'll be interesting unless they see that, okay, well, he can do it. He still will be our long-term future. We'll continue to develop him as time goes. He can maybe take over next year. Let's get our best 5 on the field, though, and put him at left guard and put Peters outside.
Do you think there's any chance that Terrence Steele may have lost his spot and they put Peters at right tackle?
I don't think so yet.
Okay. So you just think they give him benefit of the doubt bad week?
I mean, I feel like we've seen them be extremely patient with Steele before.
Yeah, that's true.
And just with the age factor and then kind of looking at the long term, I think that I don't think they'll pull Steele just yet. But I mean, if that continues, yeah, maybe. I don't think he's in an immediate danger yet.
And Mendoza says rumor is they love Steele, which wouldn't be a surprise.
Mm-mm.
All right, Mendoza says they really gonna try Farniok out there again after how he played. I can see them waiting another week too. Oh, another week though. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We won't see the same level of talent on defensive line this week as we saw last week, so that's a positive. I mean, we give Farniok a hard time, but Nunez, Roaches, and Vita Vea, and the third tackle, Akeem Hicks. Those are very good defensive tackles, and their linebackers are probably the best core in the NFL. So he wasn't going against scrubs. So hopefully he just had a bad week coming off the bench cold. Maybe he can step it up and play a little bit better this week. All right, Lambo, we're at 33 minutes. So let's move on to our next subject. I believe we'll go key matchups, and we'll talk about some of the matchups in this game we're looking forward to seeing, and we think will be the difference in, I want to say who wins, who loses, or I realistically want to say how bad we get beat. But let's go ahead and go to some of the key matchups to watch in this week's game.
Key matchups.
All right, so guys, let us know in the comments who you think of some of the key matchups we have this week. And if you're watching and you haven't gotten the comments yet, be sure to get in the comments to at least let us know that you're there. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe. I'm Bluff City Cowboys, and Lambo is Cowboys, y'all. So Lambo, you got any specific key matchups for this week? I got a couple that I'm really interested in this game.
Man,
we can just go back and forth one each. I got 3 of them. So
really, you think Diggs will stick with Chase?
That's actually my first one too. I mean, it's pretty much pick your poison. Yeah. Brown either has Chase or Higgins. Neither one of those are good options for us.
Didn't Higgins hold on? Is he playing? He got a concussion.
He is still in concussion protocol, but I mean, he'll come out at any moment.
Yeah.
Normally, unless a guy has a Monday night game, he's gonna clear protocol within a week.
Yeah. So, either way, it's picky. So basically, we just say wide receivers versus our cornerbacks.
Yeah, I just got Anthony Brown versus Chase / Higgins, whichever one Diggs doesn't take.
Yeah.
And William Coulter asked the question they were talking about on the radio. They can only call up 2 people from the practice squad, and one will be Greer. So who's the other? Actually, our kicker is on the practice squad. I believe Maher. So Maher would actually be the second guy they call up. So if they're able to bring Peters up, they would have to bring him up to the active roster, which means they would have to cut somebody. And also, like William Coulter said, they have to sign Rush. Did they put Dak on IR?
No.
I don't think they put Dak on IR. So if they haven't put Dak on IR yet, that means they have to cut somebody to make room for Rush on the 53-man roster.
Yeah. That the other one I was kind of thinking on was Zeke versus their defensive front.
Who is that? Zeke?
Yeah, because
Okay.
he's gonna have to turn back into bell cow Zeke. I think this game he really is. And last week they on 22 attempts they limited Pittsburgh to 75 rushing yards on 22 attempts. So I mean they're pretty stout, solid overall on against the run.
Lyle Collins is the guy you're thinking about, William.
Oh yeah,
and that's actually my next matchup too. My next one specifically, Lyle Collins, who he completely looks like he lost the ability to flip his hips. I watched the whole game last week. He looked stiff. He almost like he was dragging his leg. Parsons should have a field day with him. Like, don't even waste time with D-Law. Put Parsons over there and let Parsons go to work, just like TJ Watt did last week.
yeah.
Don't even get cute with it. Like, you know what you're getting this week, Collins. I hope you can deal with it. So Mendoza has Mook Bell versus Hurst. That's going to be a good matchup because that's a veteran tight end going against two rookies. And then another matchup I got just LVE against the run. Zach Taylor, the coach for the Bengals, comes from that McVay coaching tree.
Mm-hmm.
And we all remember the last time we saw a McVay-led team. I think Zach Taylor was on that team as a assistant coach when they just ran it down our throats. So I'm pretty sure he's going to look at the tape from last week and remember from 2018 and say, you know what? Let's just run it at LVE and see what happens. So that one really concerns me. And Mendoza says the rookie guard. That's a good matchup also. Lambo, you got any other matchups that you're looking forward to?
I just like the pass rush against, like you said, Lyle Collins. That'd be interesting because, I mean, Burrow did give up, 6 turnovers this past week?
He had 3 interceptions, and then he got sacked. I believe it was
4
5
interceptions,
or 7
I think.
times. Yeah. I think he got sacked 5 times or 7.
Yeah, 6 total turnovers. And Parsons is like TJ Watt clone. So I mean, he might be able to expect a lot of that. If we can force 2-3 turnovers, that could be enough to keep us in this game.
Yeah. That's probably going to be the only hope we have. All right, so guys, let us know in the comments. Do you have any other any matchups that you're looking forward to seeing in this week's game? All right, so Lambo, I almost forgot. We got a new segment that we're bringing, and that is our question of the week. So we want to make sure you guys get interactive with us, and just let us know your thoughts. We talked about this a few minutes ago with the wide receiver position, and we talked about how Noah Brown had a good game, and how Lambo, you said CeeDee Lamb had 9 targets or 11 targets?
11 targets, yeah.
He had 11 targets, and he only caught 2 of them.
Yep, 97% of the snaps he was in the game.
So this week's question of the week is gonna tap into our wide receiver room and just get you guys thoughts on how you think this will play out this week. So let's go ahead and put up our question of the week for this week.
Question of the week.
I gotta add the fancy music to it next. All right, guys. So our question of the week is, who will be our leading receiver for this week? Last week it was Noah Brown. We've got Cooper Rush, who's a backup. So typically when backups come in the game, they normally favor guys that they see in practice. So there could be Noah Brown, there could be Simi Fehoko. They could just make it a point of emphasis to target CeeDee Lamb. So if you haven't done so already, go to minty.com, use code 7743-6430, and cast your vote on who you think will be this week's leading receiver. All right, I see we got one vote in for CeeDee Lamb. So, guys, if you get a chance, go to this site. I'll leave it up for a few minutes as we hit on a couple of other topics, and then we'll come back and check on it. So, who do you think will be our leading receiver for this week's game? All right, Lambo, you got any early thoughts on this one?
I'm leaning. I know CD is going to see a lot of like William said, he's going to be blanketed, but I don't know. I feel like he's got probably like a bad taste in his mouth. I know he's young, so he probably gets right on the internet and sees everybody talking, and he's probably got it in his head, trying to sleep every night.
Yep.
Waking up, I'm not wide receiver one. I'm not wide receiver one. I don't know. I just feel like CD's gonna, at least I hope so. Maybe it's just me hoping, but I think CD's gonna go out there and show that he can be that wide receiver one, even with all the focus on him, that he can go out there and still perform at a high level, make everything easier for the rest of the receivers. And I think CeeDee Lamb will get back on track this week with Cooper Rush.
Okay.
I think Cooper Rush is just going to sling it when he has the chance to. He ain't got nothing to lose, really. I mean,
that's true.
At that point, you're just toss it up.
Money.
Toss it up and hope that you land a job somewhere next year or the year after. I mean, he's going to go out there and sling it. So that could benefit well for a guy like CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Lambo, we're at 42 minutes. I guess we'll go ahead and hit our last segment of the day, and that is over under, where I'll give you guys some questions and some statistics, and you guys let me know whether you think we'll go over or under on those statistics.
Over under.
All right, so first over under of the day. Micah Parsons had 2 sacks against Tom Brady. TJ Watt, I believe, had 2 sacks against Joe Burrow. Over under 1.5 sacks for Micah Parsons this week.
I'm gonna say over. I think he gets 2 again. So I think he gets 2.
I'm leaning over also. William Coulter says over. All right, guys. See, we got quite a few people watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Over, under 1.5 sacks for Micah Parsons this week. All right. Let's stick with the defensive side of the ball. Let's go to the secondary now. Over, under one of the Bengals receivers, 100 yards. Over. Which one you got?
Chase,
okay. James Crittenden, thank you for joining. Appreciate your support. I see you going over also. So over under one of their receivers 100 yards. Over under. I'm leaning over also. But Joe Burrow is pretty fearless. He's gonna throw it at Diggs. So hopefully Diggs gets an interception this week. Helps change the game around because it's coming. So William Coulter says Higgins or Boyd. I just hope Diggs doesn't fall for the double moves because Chase is known for those, like the sluggos, slant and go. He is known for that. So if he gets it, if Diggs follows him, that'll be the thing to look out for. So Lambo, in terms of Higgins and Chase, I mean, Higgins is a 6'4" just monster. Do you think both of them are terrible matchups for Brown? Which one do you think is a better matchup for Brown?
Golly. I was gonna say if it was Diggs, I like the Higgins matchup a little better. 2 long stride guys that can both high point.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, it's pretty much coin flip. They're both extremely talented.
They both can beat them in different ways.
Yep.
I guess I'd say Higgins. But I feel like with Higgins, Brown will be in position to make a play. He just won't make it. He probably won't get his head around, and T. Higgins will probably be about 3 foot up in the air by the time Brown tries to turn his head around.
Yeah.
But I say Higgins.
I'm actually leaning. I'm leaning Higgins also. I think Higgins is gonna just use his athleticism and just go on top of guys. All right, let's go to the offensive side of the ball real quick. Cooper Rush, first game started. Lambeau says he should just air it out and see what happens. Over under Cooper Rush, 230 yards passing. 240 over under. Bengals got some great safeties, but their corners can be had. Awuzie.
Oh man, it's like I want to say over because I feel like we're gonna have to. It's gonna have to be over for us to keep pace with them. Then I stop and think, well, if our defense plays like they get against Brady,
Eli Apple's the other starting cornerback. I just want to put that out there.
and that makes it tempting too.
I know. That's a good question, Mendoza. That would be a good wrinkle to throw in there to get Mook out there on Higgins.
Yeah, it would. Man, this is tough.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So
because it's like
James
just
over,
and like William said, I hope we're running more this week, so I hope it's under. But man, ooh, I'm gonna say, would you say 240?
I said 240 over under.
I'm gonna give him 247.
Okay, slightly over.
Yeah.
All right, so going back to our question, and once again, guys, go to minty.com, use code 7743-6430. Depending on who you think the leading receiver is, over under 70 yards for that receiver.
Over,
okay. And you think it's Lamb?
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be Schultz, but
I think there's a deep play to be had this game. I think we're going to get a guy who gets
Simi.
I think we're going to get a guy who gets a 40-yard reception. And then and Sim is the guy I'm thinking about. It could be Dennis Houston because he has it also.
Yeah.
I still feel like Noah Brown's going to be the leading guy in terms of yards. But I feel like there's going to be one guy who gets a long catch out of the blue unexpectedly. So I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over 70.
It's bad. It's more of a joke. I was gonna say over under our starting field position from the 20. Like, golly, man, I thought Turpin was gonna have us starting at the 30, 35 every.
I know.
Golly, I don't know how many times we start inside the 15. Like
more than we should have.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck, man.
Dennis Rivera, thank you for joining us. Definitely appreciate you tuning in. While you're here, Dennis, get in on these over-unders. So the last over-under was over-under 70 yards receiving for our top receiver. And also, make sure you go to minty.com and use code 7743-6430 and cast your vote on who you think our leading receiver will be this week. William Coulter says over, but I doubt it. And Mendoza, yeah, just like I said before, those corners can be had, but they have a very good safety group. But the way you can counter that, because Von Bell is one of the safeties, and he loves playing in the box. So you counter that by running the ball. So I won't even do rushing yards. Over under Zeke, 17 carries. Zeke, 17 carries. Over under. Let me know what you guys think.
I'm gonna say over.
Okay.
I think it just got away from them last game.
Uh-huh.
And when they probably sat there and looked over the stats after the game and said, did we really only give him the ball 10 times? They're going to say, we got to make an emphasis on getting him the ball more because he looked really good.
Yeah. And once again, they don't have any world beaters at linebacker. They don't have any world beaters on the defensive line. There are some plays that could be made against this front. And our offensive linemen were moving guys last week. They looked really good in run blocking. And that was against a very good front seven. So I'm expecting to see even more of what we saw last week from our guys. I'm expecting Zeke to get 100 if the game doesn't get away from us.
It's kind of funny that was the topic we're on because, like, Cowboys had posted 9 minutes ago a little interview and article about Zeke coming out saying after following the Wednesday's practice about how they were committing to the run this week.
Uh-huh.
And that was kind of like the things, committing to the run this week. So we'll see. But I think they will if they're smart. Well, which could mean they won't, but
that's true. All right, Lambo. So we're at 52 minutes. We're going to get out of here in an hour. Let's hit one more segment, and let's hit keys to victory. So, guys, let us know in the comments if we have a chance to win this game. What are your 3 keys to making it happen?
Keys to victory.
All right, and if you haven't done so already, Minty.com, 7743-6430. Our question of the week. Let me put it back up real quick before we get out of here. We got a couple of votes in. The question of the week is, who will be our leading receiver this week? Right now, CD's in the lead. Noah Brown's right behind him. No love for Dennis Houston or Simi Fehoko. So, guys, before we got out here in 10 minutes, cast your vote. Let us know what you think about our question of the week.
I got 3.
All right, Lambo, what you got? 3 keys to victory.
It's going to be in no specific order, but establish the run and don't go away from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be pressure in Burrow's face all game long.
Yep.
Make him extremely uncomfortable. It's going to help force turnovers. Don't give the receivers time to get downfield. And then the third one was going to be limit turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
We got a backup quarterback coming in. We just got to limit the turnovers. He can't get too crazy. Like I said, I think he will try to sling some stuff. I think he'll try to take some chances. Sometimes you see that with backup quarterbacks because they want to prove themselves when they get the chance to. But limit the turnovers. We cannot afford the turnover. We can't because it'll be tough enough as it is to win this game. We cannot afford to turn the ball over.
So before I give mine, Dennis Rivera asked the question, do I think we'll get another quarterback? You won't like this answer, Dennis, but I would say no. We talked about this early in the show. The Dak injury is about a 4-week injury. And unfortunately, the problem we have with this team, which most teams don't have, we don't have a coaching tree and we don't have a quarterback tree. So what I mean by that is, if you look at this Sean McVay, for example, if Matt Stafford went out, Sean McVay has his coaches in the Rams. He has a coach in Miami. He has a coach in Cincinnati. He has a coach in Washington. He comes from a system of guys who run a similar scheme than him. So it's pretty easy for him to be able to go out and find a guy who can come in a week, pick up, already knows the verbiage, and just get in shape and get some reps. We don't have that in Dallas because when Jason Garrett was here, he went straight from quarterback to OC. So there was no coaching tree to build. And Jason Garrett's quarterbacks were Romo, Dak, Kellen Moore, Jamil Showers, and Cooper Rush. Those were his 5 quarterbacks. Dak's gone. Jamil Showers is gone. Kellen Moore is a coach now, so he's gone. Romo's gone. All we have out of this coaching tree is Rush. So there's nobody out there that we can go and get who we can say, this guy's been in this system. He knows the verbiage. Bring him in for a week, get him acclimated, and then go play ball.
And that's the problem, too. There's going to be an acclimation period, so they can't even help us right away. And by the time they can help us, Dak will be back probably 2 weeks after that.
Yep.
So
it's going to be very hard for them to bring a quarterback in, especially one that you plan on competing for a starting spot. We're pretty much stuck with Rush or Greer, and pray to God they don't have to go to DiNucci.
Oh.
Now, if they could talk some veteran quarterback, some smart veteran quarterback to come back, and Kellen Moore be willing to modify the offense to fit him, that could possibly happen. But I seriously doubt that would happen. And Dennis asked the question, can we win with Rush? Well, that remains to be seen. One thing I will say is our run blocking has improved dramatically, and our defense has improved dramatically. So those two things can win you some football games, and that kind of goes into my keys to victory. Number one, we have to make this a slow game. We don't want to let Burrow turn this into a track meet. So you have to play coverage. You almost have to make them run it. Let them get 4 or 5 yards of carry, but just limit them to field goals. On our side of the ball, we have to run the ball also. We got to get the short game going. We got to be smart with our play calling and take chances when it's necessary. Don't force anything. And the third thing is, like I said, you make it a slow game. Burrow will make mistakes. So you make him sustain long drives, and eventually he's going to get impatient and try to make something happen. That's going to lead to a strip sack. That's going to lead to a costly throw trying to force something in. Joe Burrow will make those mistakes. So we just have to make it a slow game, make him get impatient, and make him try to force something. And, of course, I saw about 6 people putting penalties up there. Yeah, for the love of God, no penalties.
No, man, we got to gut it out. I did not. Oh, man. We was only 2-3 yards away from being the most penalized team in the league last year.
Yeah. Definitely no dumb penalties. All right, so Lambo, I think that's pretty much it. We're getting out of here just under 1 hour. Let's go check the question of the day again and see if anybody else gave their input on it. Got to do a better job of getting that transition right. But still pretty holding steady. CD Lamb's going to be our leading receiver, followed by Noah Brown. No love for Dennis Houston. No love for Semi Fehoko. That's surprising considering how many Fehoko fans there are out there. So, guys, thank you for watching. I know we had James Crittenden come in and join us late. Dennis Rivera join us late. Thank you guys for coming in. Mendoza, William, as always, appreciate your support. Make sure you guys find us every Wednesday, 8:30 Central Standard Time, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Bluff City Cowboys, Cowboys Y'all, and the Cowboys Zone Facebook page. And before we get out of here, Lambo, let the people know where they can find you at.
You guys can find me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Patreon at Cowboys Y'all, and on Instagram at Cowboys Y'all 88. We always stress it every time. Please subscribe on YouTube, even if you don't like to sign into or use your YouTube. Just sign in and subscribe to both pages, please, and help get us those numbers up there.
So William Coulter asked, did you win your game this week, Lambo?
We both sucked.
I actually pulled mine out though.
You still won?
I won against Mendoza. Yeah, I think I won by like 6 points.
Dude, my team just. Yeah, I had which is crazy. I had an amazing draft, but I don't know what happened, bro. I just had a bad
But
bad luck.
I have T. Higgins and Keenan Allen, and there's a chance both of those guys will be out. So we'll see what I do this week. I think I play Jeff, so that should be a good game. All right, guys. Make sure you find us next week, 8:30 Central Standard Time. Also find us at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for our pregame show this Sunday, where we'll do game predictions, bowl predictions, and we'll give you our fantasy favorites going into this week's game. So once again, thank you guys for joining us for the Cowboy Zone. Definitely appreciate your support. And be sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe. Lambo, any closing thoughts?
Nope. Can't wait to see y'all Sunday. Hopefully the turnout is much different and we can all sleep better next week.
All right, guys. You have a good night.
See y'all.
Thank you for watching the Cowboy Zone.